You're not broke because the world isn't fair. You're broke because you believe the lie that working hard was enough. They trained you to trade time for pennies while they printed millions in silence. And now, you either break the system or you get buried by it. No one's coming. It's war now. You versus comfort. You versus excuses. You versus the average life. You've been lied to since the day you were born. They told you to chase good grades, stay out of trouble, get a safe job, and everything would be fine. And now you're grown, you followed their little checklist, you sit in traffic, you clock in, you answer emails you don't care about, and you collect a paycheck that disappears the moment it hits your account. You did everything right, and yet you still feel like something's deeply wrong. It's because it is. You're not free, you're not wealthy, you're not even surviving, you're complying. Living like that isn't life. That's existence on a leash. The truth is, you were never meant to be financially independent. You were designed to be useful. A cog, a piece in someone else's empire. They gave you just enough comfort to keep you quiet, but never enough to break free. Look around. The houses, the credit cards, the 9 to 5, it's all wrapped in illusion. They made you believe owning a car with a loan or having a salary is success. That's not wealth. That's servitude with air conditioning. No, no one told you that real money comes from control. Control of your time, control of your income, control of your reality. Financial independence starts the moment you stop waiting to be rescued and start building systems that make money move for you. And that doesn't happen with safety. It happens with war, internal war. It happens when you get tired of trading 40 hours a week for a wage that can't even cover your freedom. It happens when you decide you're done being another pawn in a board game run by men you'll never meet. You don't become rich by saving, you become rich by scaling. That sentence alone should change how you think forever. The broke mentality teaches you to cut back, reduce expenses, fear risk, but real wealth was never created through fear. The man who builds $1 million business didn't do it by counting pennies. He did it by taking action, solving problems, and creating value while everyone else was waiting for motivation. How harsh the truth is, if you're poor in 2025, you're choosing it. There's internet, tools, skills, platforms, everything you need is right in front of you. And still, most will choose Netflix and excuses. Money you want is not locked away. It's flowing right now through the screens of those who understand leverage, leverage of attention, leverage of knowledge, leverage of assets. The internet made the playing field global. While you're still dreaming about a raise, someone younger than you just made 5 figures selling digital products before lunch. While you're doubting yourself, someone across the world just closed their first client and bought back their time. And while you're still planning to start someday, the clock is ticking. Every second you wait, someone else is sprinting past you. But here's where I give you hope. And this is not some sugar-coated, fake motivational fluff. You can get out. You can rise, but not with the same mentality that got you stuck. You must first accept that no one is coming to fix your life. Not your parents, not your boss, not some government grant. Only you. You are your only chance. And that should excite you. Because if you're the problem, you're also the solution. If you caused your cage, you can design the key. That's power. That's responsibility. That's where freedom begins. Most men wait for permission to chase wealth. I didn't. I saw what working for someone else did to my father. I saw what being practical did to people I respected. I knew early that no amount of job security would buy me freedom. So I became a weapon. I studied money. I studied attention. I studied what makes people pay, what makes systems scale, what makes empires grow, and I acted relentlessly, not because I was special, but because I refused to suffer quietly. I refused to be just another statistic in a broken model. You don't need a degree to get rich. You need conviction, you need obsession, you need to detach from the fake comfort that's keeping you numb and start building something that feeds your future. You need to use every hour after work to invest, to build, to learn, to sell, to market, to create. Because the day will come when time runs out. And on that day, regret will crush you harder than any failure ever could. I should have started sooner will be the heaviest sentence you ever speak. You want wealth? Then stop renting your life for a wage and start owning the machine. Stop scrolling like a consumer and start creating like a king. Money flows to men of action, to men with value, to men who stopped dreaming and started building. You don't need to wait another year. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need one reason that burns harder than your excuses. Let that reason wake you up. Let it keep you up. Let it turn you into the man they never saw coming. Financial independence isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Because a man who doesn't own his income is always one crisis away from collapse. But a man who owns his income, who builds with purpose, who thinks with clarity and moves with speed, that man cannot be controlled. That man is dangerous. That man is free. Let me tell you a story they'll never put in the textbooks. A story you won't hear from your teachers, your parents, or your broke friends with their broke advice. Years ago, I sat in a cold apartment. No heat, no luxury, no security. Just a mattress on the floor, a cracked phone screen, and the growing realization that I was broke, not just in my bank account, but in my mindset. And that's the worst kind of poverty. I had no rich uncle, no secret inheritance, just me. A burning rage in my chest and the haunting question, is this it? That moment right there was my rebirth. I swore to myself that if no one was going to come save me, then I would become the man who could save himself, because no one's coming. Not ever. And once you accept that, your life changes forever. The first step wasn't money, it wasn't strategy, it wasn't even talent, it was pain. That deep, stomach-twisting disgust of being average. I was tired of watching others win while I sat on the sidelines pretending I didn't care. Tired of the fake positivity, tired of pretending broke was noble. Broke is not noble. Broke is a disease, and worse, it's contagious. You hang around losers long enough, you start catching their beliefs, their habits, their limits. I've watched men justify mediocrity with logic so weak it made me sick. Money isn't everything. They say that until the rent is due, until their parents are in the hospital, until they can't take care of the people they love. That sentence is the anthem of failure. I remember selling things online, piece by piece, learning every tool, every platform, every trick I could. Not because I loved it, but because I was desperate to break the chains. I'd wake up early and go to bed late, not out of ambition, but out of fear. Fear of being stuck in the same cycle at 40, lying to myself with the same excuses I heard growing up. I didn't want to be that man. I wanted to become the kind of man who could take his mother out of stress, who could walk into a room and never have to check a price tag, who could wake up when he wanted, move how he wanted, and never bow to anyone again. When you have money, you control time. When you don't, time owns you. That thought haunted me until I made it my obsession to reverse it. I didn't wait for motivation. I moved. I took risks. Some failed, some paid off, but I never stood still. I watched people around me freeze every time something got hard. It's risky, they'd say, but so is staying poor. So is betting your life on a paycheck that disappears if your boss gets annoyed. The day I realized being an employee wasn't safer, it was slavery with benefits. Everything shifted. The same system that tells you to be humble, to play it safe, to be realistic, is designed to keep you obedient. The truth is, they don't care if you live a great life. They just want you quiet enough not to ask for more. There was a guy I knew, smart, talented, had a good job, steady income, even a nice apartment. Everyone thought he was doing well, but he was drowning. Every month, paycheck in, bills out. Never saved, never invested, never scaled. When I asked him why he wasn't building something on the side, his answer hit me like a slap. I'm too tired. And that's what comfort does to you. It makes you tired. It numbs your potential. He didn't want more. He just didn't want pain. And in doing that, he guaranteed himself a future of quiet regret. That man never escaped. He's still stuck, and I can't help him anymore, because at some point you have to want it for yourself more than I want it for you. But I want you to understand something right now. This isn't about Lambos or mansions. This is about freedom. About waking up with your soul on fire instead of dread in your chest. About looking your family in the eyes and knowing they're protected no matter what. That's real wealth, not numbers in a bank, but control. You build that by sacrificing now so you never have to compromise later. You build it by doing what others won't so you can live how others can't. I came from nothing and I built everything. Not because I'm special, but because I refused to accept average. I saw my future dying in front of me and I fought back. That's what financial independence really is. It's rebellion. It's choosing to fight for your life instead of settling for survival. It's choosing discomfort now to earn peace later. It's the daily war between your potential and your excuses and your ability to win that war over and over again. So don't tell me it's too late. Don't tell me you can't. Don't tell me the system is unfair. Of course it is. That's why you beat it. That's why you don't play by their rules. You make your own. You take every second you got left and you build, you study, you invest. You grind, you fail, you rise. And you keep going until the cage collapses and your life becomes yours again. Because financial independence isn't a dream, it's a decision. And if you don't decide now, the world will decide for you. There's a ticking clock behind your head and you don't even hear it. You wake up each day like you've got time. Like life is waiting for you, like the opportunity is gonna knock again next week. But it won't. You are bleeding time. Every second that passes is another second you're not free. Another second you're not rich. Another second the system wins and you lose. The man who doesn't chase freedom today will beg for scraps tomorrow. And that's exactly where you're headed if you keep pretending you can coast through life and somehow land on top. Look around you. The people working 40 years to retire on 40% of what wasn't enough to begin with. The men who once had dreams and now shuffle into offices with dead eyes and fake smiles. They once thought like you. I'll figure it out later. But later is a lie. There is no later. There is now. You either build today or you suffer tomorrow. That's the trade. Procrastination is suicide by 1,000 cuts. You won't feel it at first, but slowly your life rots, your energy fades, your dreams decay into regret. The world doesn't care about your comfort. It rewards action. Brutal, consistent, focused action. While you scroll, someone's learning a new skill. While you binge nonsense, someone's building leverage. And by the time you're ready, they've already taken your spot. They've already outworked you, outlearned you, and out-earned you. Because they understood something you didn't. The opportunity of a lifetime only exists during the lifetime of the opportunity. You think doors stay open forever? They don't. Doors slam, markets shift, trends die. And if you're still sitting, thinking, doubting, you're already behind. Fear is the cage that keeps most men broke. Not just fear of failure, but fear of looking stupid, fear of being judged, fear of stepping into the unknown. And that fear keeps you tame. It keeps you obedient. It keeps you poor. But let me tell you the truth they don't teach in schools. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving while afraid. Every successful man you admire had moments of doubt, but they moved, they executed. Because they understood that staying still is more dangerous than trying and failing. And the sick part is, you feel it deep inside you, that pressure in your chest when you see others winning, that voice whispering that you were meant for more, but you drown it out. You numb it with distractions, parties, excuses. You run from it because facing it means confronting your own laziness, your own lack of urgency. But that voice won't go away. And one day when you're older, slower, stuck, it'll scream louder than ever. And you'll realize you traded your potential for comfort and you lost. There's a reason the richest people in the world are sprinting, not walking, sprinting, because they understand how fast the game moves. Success doesn't wait for readiness, it rewards aggression. You won't feel ready, you won't have all the answers, but if you don't leap, if you don't push, if you don't move, you'll watch your entire life become a highlight reel of missed chances. Every minute you waste now is stacking regret, regret that will haunt you in ways you can't even imagine. One day you'll see someone your age or younger pull up in the car you wanted with the life you dreamed of, and it will sting. Not because they're better, but because they wanted it more. They sacrificed, they locked in. And while you were figuring it out, they were getting it done. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret is forever. You choose which pain you want. The man who hesitates today will beg tomorrow. That's the reality. You think you're being cautious, you think you're being smart, but you're not. You're stalling because you're scared. And every day you stall, your power fades. Your window closes. You're not 18 forever. You don't get infinite shots. The world isn't handing out wealth to the indecisive. It's taking from the weak and giving to the bold. And if that doesn't terrify you, it should. But here's the beauty in it all. You can flip the script today, right now. That's the power you hold. You're not dead yet. You're not finished. You're just unfocused. And if you make the decision to wake up, to train your mind, to treat time like your most valuable currency, everything can change. 1 year of discipline can put you 10 years ahead. That's the leverage you've been wasting. That's the weapon you're not using. You could become a machine, a builder, a savage, but it starts with urgency, with fire, with refusing to live one more day like this. This is your shot, your warning, your wake-up call. If you ignore it, life won't wait. But if you listen, if you decide, commit, and move, you might just shock the world. Or better yet, you might finally become the man you were born to be. There's a brutal truth you're not ready to accept. Life doesn't slow down for anyone. You think you're young. You think you've got time, but time doesn't care how you feel. Every hour you waste is wealth slipping through your fingers. While you scroll and sleep in and take it easy, the clock is robbing you. Every second that ticks by is another nail in the coffin of the man you could have been. You want financial freedom? Then stop living like you've got unlimited chances. You don't. The man who treats time casually will be punished by poverty without mercy. That's not theory, that's reality. Most people live like their bank account will magically grow while they sleep through life. They think they can wait for motivation to arrive, for circumstances to align, for someone to hand them the blueprint. That kind of thinking is a disease. And what's worse, they don't even realize they're infected. They treat ambition like a hobby. They flirt with it. They don't commit. And then they cry about their circumstances. You don't deserve wealth if your actions don't reflect desperation to escape mediocrity. That's the threshold. You either live like it's life or death, or you settle for scraps. The fear isn't that you'll fail. The real fear is that you'll succeed too late. That one day after years of wasting time, you'll finally figure it out. But by then, the fire's gone. The energy's dead. You're shot past. You'll look in the mirror and see a man who could have dominated if only he moved when it mattered. Regret is knowing you were capable, but you stayed comfortable. That fear should haunt you. That image should burn itself into your soul, because if you don't act now, it will become your reality. You have no idea how fast opportunity disappears. Money moves quickly, markets shift, windows close. And if you're standing there, frozen, waiting for perfect timing, you're already too late. Success rewards speed and punishes hesitation. The world doesn't pay the man who plans forever. It pays the one who executes relentlessly. You got to stop thinking and start building. You got to stop watching and start doing. You've got to decide that poverty isn't just unacceptable, it's offensive. You were not born to struggle. You were born to conquer. Fear will tell you it's not the right time. Fear will whisper that you need more experience, more support, more luck. But the truth, you need none of that. You need to start now. Courage isn't about feeling ready. It's about refusing to remain weak. The man who conquers fear owns his destiny. Everyone else, they just survive. And let me tell you, surviving is not living. Surviving is a slow, cold death where your dreams rot before your eyes while you pretend everything is fine. There's a sickness in society. People fear judgment more than failure. They'd rather stay broke and unnoticed than risk embarrassment chasing freedom. That mindset is the death of kings. No man ever built an empire worrying about opinions. If you're scared of looking stupid, you'll stay poor forever. You've got to stop seeking approval and start seeking results. Nobody claps for potential. Nobody rewards your dreams. You get paid for what you produce. Nothing more, nothing less. Here's what they won't tell you. There are people dumber than you, less talented than you, less capable than you, living the life you dream about. Why? Because they acted. They ignored the fear. They didn't wait to feel ready. They moved, and the world responded. Meanwhile, you're still thinking about it. You're still waiting for the stars to align. And every day you wait, you train yourself to accept a life that isn't yours. If you delay the life you want, you become the man who never lived it. But there's a flip side, a powerful one. You are one decision away from turning it all around. That's the truth. You could flip the switch right now, not with some motivational nonsense, not with fake hype, but with raw, calculated aggression toward your goals. You could wake up tomorrow with a new standard. Discipline today is wealth tomorrow. 1 year of warlike focus could destroy a decade of poverty. That's not a baby, that's fact. And the beauty of wealth, it multiplies. Momentum compounds. When you lock in, the universe opens doors. You start to attract opportunities. You start to see angles others miss. You become dangerous. But only when you're obsessed. Only when you treat your goals like oxygen, not an option. The man who obsesses over freedom becomes untouchable. That's what you need to become, untouchable. Not just rich, free. So the question is, how much longer are you going to play with your potential? How much longer will you trade legacy for comfort? The pain of change is temporary, but the pain of staying broke lasts forever. And you know that. You've always known. You just hoped someone would rescue you, but no one's coming. You are the rescue. You are the strategy. You are the plan. You either rise now or stay buried beneath a life that never belonged to you in the first place. You want financial independence? then stop living like a slave in disguise. You wake up, drag your feet to a job you hate, pretend it's normal, and swallow your dreams with every paycheck that barely pays the bills. That's not life. That's slow death on autopilot. The world has convinced you to settle, to believe that safety equals success, that a fixed income and 2 weeks of vacation is what winning looks like. It's not. Comfort zones are cages built with invisible bars. You think you're free because you can choose your dinner or scroll your feed, but your entire existence is owned. Every decision you make is filtered through lack. You don't choose based on desire. You choose based on what you can afford. That's not choice. That's captivity. You've been taught to fear risk, to play it safe, to be grateful. But gratitude without growth is stagnation, and the truth is most people hide behind gratitude because they're too scared to chase more. They settle for just enough and call it contentment. They call the grind noble. They wear their struggle like a badge of honor, as if suffering somehow equals virtue. But let me tell you, struggle without a strategy is just self-inflicted failure. There's nothing honorable about staying broke when the blueprint to wealth is everywhere. You've got Wi-Fi, you've got time, you've got a brain. It's all you need. Yet you choose Netflix over knowledge. You choose comfort over courage. And every time you do, you reinforce the prison you built around yourself. You need to stop asking for permission to be great. Nobody's gonna tap you on the shoulder and hand you $1 million. Nobody's coming to tell you now is the right time. That moment doesn't exist. You either wake up and take it, or you rot in regret while someone else lives the life you fantasized about. Wealth is never given, it's seized with relentless execution. You can't tiptoe your way into freedom. You can't whisper your goals and expect the universe to shout back success. You must move with force, with fire, with an unshakable obsession to never be average again. That's what separates lions from sheep. If you understood the power of one focused year, you'd never waste another day. 1 year of savage discipline can change the entire trajectory of your bloodline. That's how serious this is. This isn't just about you. This is about breaking the generational chains that kept your family poor, stressed, and surviving. You've been chosen to change the narrative, but you act like a spectator instead of the author. The man who builds wealth doesn't just change his life, he rewrites the destiny of everyone who comes after him. You are the turning point, or you are the excuse they repeat for generations to come. There is no middle ground. You say you want wealth, but your habits scream poverty. You talk big dreams, but live like time is infinite. You chase instant pleasure and wonder why you never catch lasting power. Let me tell you something. You can't scroll your way to 6 figures. You can't hope your way into freedom. You must earn it with actions that most men are too weak to repeat daily. Discipline isn't just the path, it is the weapon. When other men break, you stay locked in. When others seek comfort, you seek growth. When others fold under pressure, you rise. That's how you earn your place at the table of kings. And make no mistake, this isn't about the money, it's about what the money means. Money buys your time back. It buys your family's safety. It gives you the freedom to live on your terms, speak your truth, and walk away from anything that insults your worth. You think staying broke is humble? It's selfish, because when you're broke, you're limited. You can't help your mother. You can't elevate your friends. You can't build schools, protect people, or move the world forward. Poverty isn't just painful, it's powerless. And power is what you need to protect what matters most. So you either suffer the pain of discipline now, or you suffer the regret of mediocrity for life. The pain of discipline builds muscle, character, and wealth. The pain of regret destroys everything. You think missing out on parties is sacrifice? That's a joke. Real sacrifice is watching your kids struggle because you were too lazy to grind when it counted. Real pain is waking up at 50 with nothing but memories of what could have been. Real hell is knowing the man you could have become still haunts your mirror, whispering, you wasted it all. But there's hope, because as long as there's breath in your lungs, the war isn't over. You can start now. You can decide that today is the day you burn the bridge to average and never look back. You can silence every doubt with daily execution. You can become the man who not only dreams, but delivers. Massive action cures all weakness. Every day you show up. Every day you build. Every day you move with the urgency of a man who knows the world owes him nothing. And that's why he takes everything. Because in the end, the world doesn't remember your intentions. It remembers your impact. And your impact will be measured by what you built, who you became and how many lives you changed along the way. So build, become, change everything. Or don't, the choice is always yours, but understand this. If you don't fight for your freedom, The only thing you can actually really truly control is what you think. Why on earth are you gonna go through life and believe you're an unlucky individual? I don't see how that can benefit. It's kind of crazy because I say this. The number one thing people don't have control of in their lives is their mind. But what's funny about that is the only thing in life you can truly control is your mind. You can't control other people. You can't control the weather. You can't even control your health. Your heart might stop beating. You don't make it beat. It just goes, so it's gonna turn off one day. The only thing you can control in your life is what you think in your mind. So if you're gonna sit there and go, oh, I'm sad, well, you can change that if you actually try, but you don't, you just accept it, right? So people have lost control of their own minds. And I don't understand why you would allow your own mind to take power from you. Why would you let your own mind convince you you're not a lucky person, or I'm not this, or I'm not confident? Why would you let your own mind sabotage you? Why wouldn't you reprogram your own mind to be on your team? It should be your ally, right? My mind is my ally. You can dump me in a bikini in the fucking Arctic Circle to die. 2 days later, I'm coming to your house, knocking on the door with 3 girlfriends in a Cadillac. I'm not gonna sit there and go, shit, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna be like, okay, Andrew, you're the man. I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do, but you're gonna pull this off. I really believe in that irrational self-confidence to some degree. Doesn't mean be a jackass, doesn't mean be an egomaniac. But in certain scenarios, there's absolutely no benefit to doubting yourself. When I was about to get in the cage, even if I knew the guy was a killer, there is no benefit to me thinking I'm gonna lose or I might lose. No benefit. If I lose, right? But you have to completely believe you're gonna win. That's the only way you're gonna do your best. I would never believe I'm unlucky. I would never believe anything negative about myself because I refuse to self-sabotage. I have enough people out in the world who wanna sabotage me. I'm not gonna do it to myself. But yeah, no, I'm absolutely an extremely lucky person. And I know I've been lucky in my life. A lot of hard work went in as well, but yeah, there's a degree of luck in everything. But I'm an exceptionally lucky person. We live in a comfortable world now where people think, oh, it doesn't matter. But you know what? To some degree, it does matter. It does matter, and I'll tell you who it matters to. It matters to your soul, and it matters to God. I stand in the mirror with a pure heart. I know I am the best version of me that could possibly ever exist. I know that God is proud of me. There's nothing that God hates more than sloth and laziness. If God were to create a man and that man were to sit around and do fuck all, God will frown upon you. It's why you're never lucky. If you're listening to this and you think I'm never lucky, I'll tell you why, because God dislikes you because you're lazy. Start to work, start to show God the beauty of his own creations. You'd be amazed how lucky you'll become. God is unhappy with these people. And inside their hearts, they're unhappy. We talk about depression, anxiety, all those things you mentioned earlier on this podcast. That comes from self-loathing. You loathe your own weakness. You loathe your own laziness. This is what all of these things are. I don't feel depression. How can I feel depression when I'm the most powerful version of me that I could ever be? How can I feel depression when I could squeeze my own hand hard enough to break my own bones? How can I feel depression when I've smashed and destroyed 68 people's faces in front of me, men who thought they could test me in fair combat? How can I feel depressed? It's impossible. Do you understand? Everyone's mind is fundamentally fucked. All of it. Look at me. I blinked, I cured my brain, I used basic indefatigability, I used perspicacity, I used compendiousness, I used my mind, and I focused. It's not difficult, there's just no competition because everybody's distracted. They're getting distracted by this, distracted by that, like jackasses. It's so easy to win if you can control your own mind, but it seems that nobody can. I absolutely refuse to take my own power away. There are so many things in the world trying to kill us. Like, you got enemies, you got people on the streets with blades, you got bacterias, lions. Oh, I've got enough enemies, bruv. Sharks want me dead. I've got enough enemies. Why am I gonna take my own power away? And this is what people really don't yet understand. There's only one thing on the planet you actually have control over. You can't control the weather. You can't control your health. You can get a brain aneurysm or a heart attack. You can't control other people. The only thing you can actually really truly control is what you think. That's the only thing you can change in real time. You can be thinking of red and change it to blue. So why are you not controlling your own mind? It's your asset. It's your ally. It's your friend. Why would you make an enemy out of the only thing you have control over? I refuse to do that. It doesn't make sense to me. The worst thing on earth that could happen to a man could happen to me. And I guarantee you, I would still label myself happy. I'm happy because that's who I am. That's how I view myself. That's what I've decided.
Nearly every word that comes out of my mouth is self-hypnosis. Every word that comes out of my mouth is self-hypnosis. And it's the same for everybody watching this. Every single word you speak is self-hypnosis. Every single thing you say out of your own mouth is almost more important than the things you hear from other people. I got a generational curse. I'm unlucky, bro. You can't be saying these things because you're reaffirming them within your mind. I don't do that. And as many people are going to sit there and say, Tate, you're delusional, you're a narcissist. You go through the world saying you're super lucky and that you're bulletproof and you can do all these crazy things. It's impossible for you to be depressed. You're a narcissist. Perhaps. Look at my life and look at yours. Yep. So let's talk about it let's look at it in pure metrics. Who came from a worse scenario at the start? Who had a worse background? Me. Who's now more successful? Me. Who's happier? Me. Who smiles more? Me. Who sleeps easy at night? Me. Why the fuck would I want to think like you? If thinking this way makes me a bad person, but I get fucking fantastic results from my entire life and everybody close to me gets fantastic results from knowing me and everybody close to me absolutely adores me, why would I want to adopt your thinking and be a sad fucking sack of shit sitting on the internet trying to cancel people like a dork? I don't want to be my enemies. There's not a single enemy I have that I'm remotely envious of in any regard. Every single one of them has a shit life and a shit existence. Mm-hmm. I already won. God's already punished them. God's already rewarded me. I know these things. I'm the luckiest man on the planet. You have to say these things and you have to truly believe them.
Listen to me. One of the only things in this world you can control is your state of mind. You can't control the weather. You can't control other people. You can't even control your health. You might get a brain hemorrhage, or you might get hit by a bus, or you might get assassinated. One of the very few things in the world you have genuine control over is your state of mind. You decide if you're a disciplined person. You decide if you're a happy person. You decide if you're a depressed person. These are things that in real time you can affect in your brain. This is all you can control on Earth. If you can't control that, then you're just a feather in the wind. And life's gonna blow you around and you might land somewhere good, you might land in dog shit, nobody knows. So if you're gonna be that kind of person, then you're at, like you said it perfectly, you have no will, then you're just at the whims of the earth, who knows? Your state of mind is what you should be able to control. If you can't wake up and say, today I'm making some money, and actually try your very, very best, and actually stay dedicated to that task, if you can't do that, you're fucked.
How I feel doesn't cross my mind. I don't know how else to explain it. There are days where I'm pissed off or sad or happy. It doesn't cross my mind. It's just like I woke up, whatever mood I happen to be in, I have things I need to do. It's a busy day. Zuby's here soon. I need to go training before he gets here. I had a meeting with the bank at 7:15 a.m. I have shit to do. Like I didn't cross my mind if I was happy, sad, excited. I just had to work.
I don't wake up and go, I'm worried if I might feel sad today. Who cares? Who cares? I can be happy or sad on the same day. Nobody notices and the same things get done. The exact same amount of work gets done. Nothing changes.
I'm certainly not a person who doesn't feel emotions because we're all human. I certainly do. But I've never prioritized them in any regard. I haven't built a mental model that I haven't put them in the middle of my mental model and then affected my actions based on how I feel for each one.
Most people see people with things they want and they don't do the second half. They don't try and work out how they got that thing. Oh, my man has a Ferrari. Okay. I wish I had a Ferrari. Okay. They don't sit there and go for an hour. How did he get a Ferrari? It doesn't cross that part is the part they don't want to do, right? They just go, oh, he has a Ferrari. Wish I had a Ferrari. And they go back to TV.
You have to be able to hunt in the day and the night. You have to be able to do both. You have to be able to perform when you're happy and sad. You can't only be able to perform when you're happy. You can't only go to the gym when you're motivated. You can't only be a competent person when your life's going well, because when your life's not going well, you're no longer competent. Then you're going to lose to people like me. And it's player versus player. If you're the kind of person who can only do well when you're happy and you're competing against someone like me who can do well all the fucking time, guess what? You lose.
Lazy people never get anywhere in life, doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's tennis or money. If you're lazy, you're never going to get there.
Your life sucks. I don't think that's true. I think that your life just sucks and you should change it. And another thing I also preach, and this is another thing that's very important, I also think as a man, because life as a man is pain and suffering, and when I say that, because you're never going to be a good man or good at being a man without pain and suffering. You're going to have to go through a bunch of shit and have a terrible life to become a good man. I think you should embrace that and accept it. And I think that the correct mental model for men to have is a degree of stoicism and not to be too concerned with even how they feel. If I woke up today happy, I would have done this interview with you. If I woke up today sad, I would have done this interview with you. What's the difference? Why put so much importance on my emotion if certain things must be done? I must work, I must train. I've got things to do. So why are we going to sit around and talk about how I feel if it doesn't even affect how I act? And as a man, it shouldn't, because there's too much to do. And the masculine world is hyper competitive. This is another thing most people don't understand.
Totally agree.
It's hyper competitive out here. All the women want a few men at the top. The Ferrari, you don't want a Ferrari to drive fast. You want a Ferrari because other men want a Ferrari and can't have one. It's hyper competitive. So if you're competing against every other man for every dollar you make, every girl you see, the house you live in, the car you drive, the life you live, you're not going to be able to compete with the person who performs regardless of how they feel if you only compete when you feel like competing. Right? Because there's men like me out there who will be sad every day and outcompete you regardless. I don't care how I feel, I will still win. And that's the kind of mindset you need to adopt. So I don't, when a man comes—
You've got a job to do. Stop whining, go to work.
Completely.
I agree.
Completely.
Yes.
So when men say, oh, but I feel sad, who cares? The world doesn't care. All the men who are out here to destroy you and take your girl don't care. So why do you care? Like the person who should care least is you. You're the only person who wakes up every day who should have a genuine vested interest in improving your life. Nobody else wakes up and wants to improve your life, only you. So if nobody else cares about how you feel, why do you care? So my argument also for depression is, you're depressed, fine. Have you trained today? Well, that doesn't change what you should do with your life, depressed or not. And I don't say this because I'm an eternally happy person. I say this because I've experienced all ranges of human emotion. I never missed a day of training. I wouldn't say I was particularly happy, but push-ups must be done.
I don't even look at it as goals, because goals are something that you put on the wall to motivate yourself, right? So if you want to buy a car, you put the car on the wall and it motivates you to go to work to get the car. So that's a goal. Goals are for motivation. I don't work on motivation, I work on discipline. So I don't have a set goal. I just get up and do what I know I'm supposed to do. I don't work to try and afford that car. I work because I'm supposed to work. And then I can already afford that car and another one and another one and a boat and a plane and a house and another house and a land. And then I just work. I do my work. That is my duty as a man, is my duty to God. I train in the gym, it is my duty to God. I do my duties to God. I fulfill my duty. I'm an old school gentleman of honor and respect. I do what I'm supposed to do. I don't have any particular set goals. Anything I decide to do or want to do, I can do instantly. And if I can't do it instantly, I can do it pretty quickly. I don't need goals in that old traditional sense. I do what I'm supposed to do. It's not a matter of how I feel or how I'm motivated. If I was depressed, it's impossible, but if I was depressed, my life would be, and the day-to-day activities would be exactly the same as if I was ecstatically happy. You wouldn't be able to see a difference. I'd be up at the same time. I'd be in the gym the same. I'd be doing the same shit. Those are my duties to God. How I feel has nothing to do with it. Completely unrelated. How I feel is unrelated to my duties to God. They don't change based on how I feel. They're the same. And they will be completed because I refuse to fail God or my bloodline.
I'm so emotionally, I don't want to use the word hard, but I'm so emotionally controlled that I don't view most men as capable, because my number one strength in my life is my emotional control. I can be on the Titanic and it can be sinking, and I'm still going to be sitting there thinking, okay, cool. All right, shut up. What's the plan? Stop screaming. Okay, the water's cold. Let's work out. Let's do something. Like, I'm a very rational person, and most men are not as rational as I.
The human mind is a massively misunderstood and underused chemical factory. That's all it is. It's the reason you feel happy. It's the reason you feel sad. It's the reason you feel excited. It's only chemicals in your brain. And I think if you try and take conscious control of your mind and force yourself to feel what you want, when you want, you can truly start to feel emotions on command. I don't think that men should ever consider how happy they are. I think that for a man, the paradigm of analyzing yourself based on your mood is an incorrect way to approach life. I don't think it makes you competitive. I just don't think it makes you competitive. I feel like as a man, life is ultra competitive and you're constantly competing against other men, whether you realize it or not. The girl you want, other men want. If you get her, it's a competition. The dollar you want, other men want. If you get it, it's a competition. The status you want, other men want. If you get it, you won the competition. Man, life as a man is hyper competitive, and you need to build a mindset that allows you to compete at the highest echelons, at the highest levels. And in my experience, the people who compete at the highest levels are not people who have any concern or care for how they feel on the day. You are a man with duties, you're a man with responsibilities, you must perform, you have things you must do, and you must do them regardless of how you feel. Whether you feel happy or you feel sad, you must still train. So considering it's not going to affect your actions
Why even take it into consideration at all? Why does it matter? I don't look at myself and go, how do I be happy? I look at myself and go, how do I succeed and do everything I want to do and become competent and be successful? That's what I'm worried about, achieving my goals daily. Happiness is a byproduct. It's a side piece. But if you're going to wake up and go, I want to be happy, well, yeah, to a degree it's feminine. It's also very childish because only women and children are so obsessed with happiness. But it doesn't make you competitive, because if you're concerned with being happy, that means you're only going to perform when you feel like it. That means you can't outcompete the men who perform every day regardless. And that's why, as a man, you need to be building a mindset that makes you as competitive as possible. And I think that considering happiness as a concept, as an idea in and of itself is a bad idea. I think it's insane. So it doesn't even cross my mind if I'm happy. It doesn't even cross my mind. I've got shit to do.
Every man understands you shouldn't be complaining about things you cannot change. You have to play the cards you're dealt. To be born a certain height and then to sit there and go, what do I do? I'll tell you what you do. You become the best version of yourself, just like everyone else does. Nothing about the height is in and of itself enough value for me to be a valuable man. As a man, you build your value. You are born with the cards you're dealt. Sure, it'd be ideal. Look, I'd love to be 7 foot tall. I'm not. So it's the same argument. If you're 5'2", you need to become rich, strong, and funny, and charismatic, and interesting, and witty. If you're 6'4", you need to become rich, strong, well-connected. It's the same game. So to sit there and complain about it is asinine.
People email me their long lists of all the bad things that happened to them, and I reply, fantastic. You are so lucky. You have all the building blocks to become the exact kind of man you want to be. If none of this shit happened to you, when something else bad happens to you later, you wouldn't be able to deal with it. Fantastic. Bad things happened to Batman. They killed his parents. Do you understand? That's why he's Batman. You've just told me you have the building blocks. You might become top G when I retire. What are you complaining about? He goes, well, what do I do? I said, you need to work. Take all that trauma. If you're truly heartbroken, my friend, and we've all been there as men, if you're truly heartbroken, you can't sleep. That means you're going to get in fantastic shape. You better hit the gym. You have nothing else to do. Stop watching YouTube. Stop emailing me. I want pictures of you in the gym. Get to fucking work. Heartbreak's a fantastic motivator, as is depression, as is sadness. Great. Look at what's pissing you off and make sure it never happens again. If you were jacked and rich as fuck, you probably wouldn't have left your ass.
All of you have a handful of lessons. I don't think you understand that you could have been in a car crash at 4 years old and lost your legs. Do you have any understanding of how lucky you have been? This is pure luck. There's no reason. This only luck has kept you fully able-bodied, sitting there, capable of learning and listening and becoming something. You don't really need to be that tall if you're important and rich. And when you walk in the room, you think when fucking Mayweather walks in the room, people give a shit? Fix that frame in your mind. You are viewing yourself as a short man. Stop it. Walk the fuck up and be the man.
I was a 4-time kickboxing world champion. For 12 years, I trained 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I was motivated to train probably about 25% of the time. The rest of the time I went because I am disciplined. You don't feel like going through that shit on a Wednesday morning when you wake up, but you have to do it because you're disciplined. You're either a disciplined individual or you are not a disciplined individual. There's a difference between want and want. And I say this all the time. People say to me, I want to be rich. And I say, okay, well, I want to be able to ice skate. But I don't want to be able to ice skate enough to go learn how to ice skate because I can't be bothered. I mean, surely if I could click my fingers and be a figure skater, I'd click my fingers. Who wouldn't? But I don't want to actually go train because I don't want it enough. And this is the exact point with money. Everyone wants money put on their lap. If you truly wanted money, you wouldn't be able to sleep until you fucking had it. And this is the point. Because when I had nothing, I couldn't be distracted. You couldn't distract me from what I wanted. That's who I am. If I want something, I'm going to get it. I do not need to be motivated. I'm a disciplined person. If I allocate X amount of time to work, I'm going to do it. But that is the bottom line answer. It's discipline. You're going to have to work when you don't feel like working. That's how it's going to have to be, or you're never going to be eating.
The idea that men don't feel emotions is incorrect. We feel emotions. I would actually argue we feel emotions with certain emotions stronger than women. I would argue that we feel heartbreak stronger than women. I would argue we feel anger like a woman could never understand. I would argue we are extremely emotional. Rage, pure rage. Well, it's feedback. So when you get the feedback, it's all about how you internalize that and how you process it, right? It's having stoicism's not feeling emotions. It's feeling the emotion and going, okay, why is this happening? How much does this really matter? What's the most intelligent move on the chessboard? Chess is a fantastic game because in the game of chess, there's no luck. If you lose, no matter how well you played, if you lose, at some point you made a mistake. Even if it's the most minor mistake, you made a mistake. So you learn to understand that no matter what happens to you, if you lose a scenario, you made a mistake. Maybe it's a tiny one, maybe it was 2 years ago, whatever, but you made a mistake, and you learn absolute and utter accountability for yourself. And that mentality is extremely powerful to apply to all things in life. So emotions are feedback, but stoicism is the ability to process it. And that's what you need to learn as a man. You're never going to be able to turn them off. You're going to feel them. You have to learn how to process them and turn them into a positive. It's energy. It's unlimited energy. I say this all the time. I say that the biggest periods of transformation in my life is when everything was going wrong. When my life was going good, I'm not a hedonistic person. I don't do drugs. I don't gamble. I don't do prostitutes. I don't do anything that hedonistic. But I'll certainly go on the yacht with a bunch of women I know and chill and have some vodka. When life's smooth, then it's semi-hedonistic, pretty relaxed. But when I make my biggest progress, when I really change who I am and change the world, that's when everything's fucked. When things go wrong, or I'm feeling things I don't want to feel, or bad things are happening, that's when I'm like, okay, I currently cannot sleep. I've completed the day's tasks. I've tried to go to bed. I can't sleep. More shit has to be done. That's when the amazing things happen in my life. When I was heartbroken, when I was whatever, everyone's been heartbroken. I can't remember a specific example. I hit the gym harder, right? If something goes wrong with your payment processor, that's when you get fucking inventive. That's business, right? That's when you get inventive. So all the bad things that happen to you as a man, if you're stoic, you get to take unlimited energy. Heartbreak is unlimited energy. So is depression. So is rage. So is sadness. All these negative emotions they tell you to collapse behind. It's like, people talk like, Bruce Lee says, be like water. And people see that as be fluid and just go with the flow. I disagree. If you're like water, you're necessary for life. You are scary when you're enraged. You're powerful. You're beautiful when you're calm. You're so many things when you're like water, right? So if I'm enraged, it's like water behind a dam. You just got to put the dam in place, and you got to get the turbo, the hydroelectrics put in. Don't tsunami your life. Put the energy somewhere.
That's a mental trick. You have to rewire your brain. That's one of the things you have to rewire your brain to do. And the reason your brain needs to be rewired is because anyone who is watching this stream below the age of 30, your brain is already broken. And I'll tell you it's broken. I'll tell you why. Watch your friends when they're on TikTok. How long can they even focus on a video before they have to change? Half a second, a second.
Damn.
All of your minds are broken. You can't even focus on anything anymore. Right. You are distracted to the point where you can't even appreciate the good things in your life. You're distracted. Your minds are broken. You need to rewire your mind. I'll tell you how. First thing you have to do is identify it. You have to identify what is happening to you. I use my mind to break the trap. What I do is I allow my enemy to manipulate me on purpose. And then I use my mind to break the trap and punish the perpetrators. I will sit on TikTok for a day and I'll just enjoy TikTok. And by the end of the day, I'll watch myself. How quickly I'm looking to be entertained, how little time I give a video, how fucked up I am. And then I'll blink and I'll cure my brain. You must allow yourself to be manipulated and you must fix it. All of it. You just talked about not appreciating the things you have. Then blink and cure your brain. It's a conscious decision. You're letting other people control your mind.
Letting all distraction.
You have to break the trap. If you cannot control your own mind, let me make this point because it's extremely important. If you cannot control your own mind, then you are just a feather in the wind of life. Because your own mind is the only thing you can control. You can't control the weather. You can't control other people. You can't even control whether your heart stops beating. You might have a heart attack tomorrow. You can't control anything besides what you think. If you cannot control your own mind, then you go through life with zero control, zero influence. You can't control anything. You're just a feather in the wind, waiting for life to blow you from happy place to sad place to happy place to sad place, completely hoping on the gods to be fortunate to you, because if any genuine discomfort comes your way, you're fucked. It is trained. Like everything else in life, it is trained. So if you find yourself not appreciating what you have until it's gone, then you must blink and cure your brain. If you find yourself unable to focus or concentrate on tasks, you must blink and cure your brain. If you find yourself unable to go and dedicate yourself to something you don't want to do, you must blink and cure your brain. because all of our minds have been under constant assault for years.
You want success? Then stop waiting for it to come to you. It's not going to knock on your door. It's not going to offer you a seat at the table. You have to build your own table. You have to fight for every inch, every moment, every opportunity. Time's ticking, and every second you hesitate is the second someone else is getting closer to your dreams. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to be the one who stands tall when it matters, or the one who fades away with regret? Right now, it's your choice. You need to hear the truth, even if it cuts deeper than you're ready for. Every excuse you make, every lazy day you accept, every moment you hesitate, it is all self-inflicted sabotage. You are the architect of your own destruction. You can dress it up however you want. Blame your parents, blame your environment, blame your lack of opportunity. But the reality is simple. No one is holding you back but yourself. Life doesn't owe you anything. The universe isn't here to hand you success wrapped in a neat little package. You are exactly where you deserve to be because of the decisions you've made. That's the brutal reality most people will never tell you because they want you weak, compliant, and forgettable. But you weren't born to be average. You weren't put on this earth to live a life of quiet desperation, scrolling through fake lives online and pretending you're happy. Briefly down, you know it. You feel the weight of your wasted potential every time you lay your head down at night and wonder why nothing changes. You think you're tired? You're not tired. You're undisciplined. You haven't earned the right to be tired. Real exhaustion is a privilege reserved for those who have bled for their future. Real fatigue comes after pushing past your limits, not after half-hearted efforts and mediocre dreams. The man who truly works himself to the bone doesn't complain about being tired. He smiles because pain is the proof he's getting stronger. Pain is not your enemy. It is your guide. Every ache, every moment of discomfort, every sacrifice is a step toward becoming the person you're supposed to be, yet most of you run from it. You fear struggle when struggle is your only path to greatness. You want to be rich, respected, powerful, but you aren't willing to crawl through hell to get there, and that's why you will lose. Success does not belong to the man who wants it. Success belongs to the man who is willing to suffer for it, fight for it, and die for it. Comfort is a slow death. Every time you choose ease over discipline, you are digging your own grave with a smile on your face. Discipline is freedom disguised as suffering. The world will lie to you, tell you that you should take it easy, tell you that balance is key, that self-love means indulging every weakness. Understand this, the people who preach comfort are the ones who've already surrendered. They need you to be weak to justify their own weakness. If you want to live like a lion, you cannot think like a sheep. Every single goal you've ever had is waiting for you on the other side of discipline. You don't need another motivational quote. You don't need another video telling you to believe in yourself. What you need is action. Ruthless, daily, unrelenting action. Dreams mean nothing without execution. Wake up earlier, train harder, read more, build your mind until it is impenetrable, your body until it is a weapon, your spirit until it is unbreakable. You have no idea how powerful you could be if you committed fully, if you stopped flirting with your potential and decided to marry it instead. But here's the part nobody tells you. It's not too late. It doesn't matter how far behind you feel, how many mistakes you've made, how many years you think you've wasted. Every man has the power to reinvent himself the moment he decides to stop making excuses and start making moves. You are not defined by your failures unless you let them own you. Forgive yourself for the weakness of yesterday, but do not excuse it for another second. Stand up. Choose to be relentless. Choose to be the man who refuses to be outworked, outdisciplined, or outlasted. No one can take that from you, except you. No, I'm not made to coast through life in a fog of mediocrity. You were made to conquer yourself first, and through that conquest, conquer everything else. The real war is internal. It's you versus the lazy version of you. It's you versus the fearful, doubting, quitting version of you. Every day you either kill that version of yourself or you become it. If you aren't fighting for your future, you're surrendering it. There is no neutral ground. You are either winning or losing, building or decaying, progressing or dying. Every second counts because every second lost is momentum you may never get back. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be. Nothing extraordinary was ever built from easy. Ease is the enemy of excellence. The beauty is that if you choose to embrace the hardship now, to build resilience instead of excuses, your future will be a masterpiece. Not perfect, but powerful. Not without scars, but full of pride. When you look back, you won't see regret. You'll see a battlefield where you stood tall when others fell. You'll see a life worth remembering, a life that mattered, a legacy that echoes long after you're gone. And it starts with one decision. to stop betraying yourself, to stop pretending tomorrow is promised, to stand up right now and move with the force of a man who finally understands that destiny isn't found, it's forged. You have everything you need already inside you. Discipline, grit, fire, it's there buried under the lies, waiting to be unleashed. The only question is whether you're ready to suffer for it, fight for it, bleed for it, because that's what it takes. And if you are, there is no force on earth that can stop you from becoming exactly who you were born to be. I remember a time when I had nothing but anger in my chest and a dream in my mind. I was broke, sleeping on a mattress that was thinner than my excuses, staring at a cracked ceiling every night, wondering if this was it, if life had already decided who I was allowed to be. But somewhere deep inside, a voice was screaming louder than the doubts, louder than the fear. If you do not become the man you are destined to be, you will suffer a lifetime of regret. And that thought terrified me more than failure ever could. Regret is the real nightmare. Failure is simply a lesson in disguise, but regret is a permanent scar you carry to your grave. I made a decision that night, not a wish, not a hope, a decision. I would either build the life I saw in my mind or I would die trying. There was no middle ground. There was no plan B. If you give yourself an escape route, you've already decided to fail. Every day after that was a battle, and not against the world, against myself, against the weakness that whispered, take a day off, against the fear that hissed, you're not good enough, against the lazy voice begging for comfort. I killed that version of myself 1,000 times over. Every workout, every early morning, every sacrifice was another nail in the coffin of the man I refused to be. I wasn't motivated every day. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline, that was the anchor. Motivation is the spark, but discipline is the fire that never goes out. I learned that real strength isn't built when you feel like grinding, it's built when you don't. When you're tired, when you're broken, when no one is watching and no one will clap for you, but you push anyway because you know the world owes you nothing. I had friends who laughed at me, who told me I was obsessed, that I needed to relax, that I was missing out on life. They didn't realize that missing out on mediocrity wasn't a loss, it was liberation. I saw them chasing temporary highs, wasting time they would never get back, convincing themselves they had forever to get serious. The man who believes he has time is the man who is already lost. Time is a brutal enemy because it doesn't announce when it's about to leave you behind. It just moves, cold and merciless, while you sit there thinking you can catch up tomorrow. There are days when the hunger gnawed at my stomach and the doubt gnawed at my mind. Days when the future seemed so far away. It was like chasing a ghost, but quitting was never an option. The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. I didn't chase comfort, I chased greatness. And greatness demands that you sacrifice the man you are for the man you can become. Every tear, every drop of sweat, every lonely night was an investment in the future self I refused to betray. I saw a vision of the man I wanted to be. Strong, fearless, relentless. And I owed it to him to fight like hell. You are not defined by your circumstances unless you choose to be. You are not trapped unless you accept the cage. I had every reason to stay average. I had every excuse available. No money, no connections, no backup plan. But excuses are the language of the defeated. Excuses are just confessions of weakness wrapped in pretty words. I chose to speak the language of winners. Action, sacrifice, resilience. I realized that if I wasn't willing to sacrifice for my dreams, I would be sacrificing my dreams for nothing, and that was unacceptable. When the breakthrough finally came, it wasn't because the world suddenly decided to reward me, it was because I had become the man capable of receiving it. Success isn't something you stumble into, it's something you are forged into. The universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you deserve. I didn't deserve victory when I was weak, lazy, and inconsistent. I deserved struggle. It was only when I bled for my goals, when I clawed for every inch of progress, when I became unrecognizable from the man I used to be, that success started hunting me down. Looking back, every hardship was necessary. Every moment of doubt, every setback, every lonely night, it all built the calluses on my mind and the fire in my spirit. Without the pain, I would have stayed soft. Without the setbacks, I would have stayed weak. Without the lonely nights grinding while others partied, I would have stayed average. Pain is the price of power, and only the brave are willing to pay it. You are standing at that crossroads right now, whether you realize it or not. Every choice you make, every action you take is voting for the man you will become. Will you vote for the weak version who runs from challenge? Or will you vote for the savage who refuses to kneel? Understand this. There will never be a perfect moment. There will never be a day when you wake up and everything is lined up for you. Success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who act while they're scared, while they're tired, while they're uncertain. You don't need to be ready, you need to move. You need to stop treating ambition like a hobby and start treating it like life and death. Because it is. If you want to live, truly live, not just exist, then you must kill every excuse, burn every bridge that leads back to comfort, and storm forward like your soul depends on it. I didn't make it because I was special. I made it because I decided I was finished being ordinary. That's the only real choice you ever need to make. And once you make it fully, completely, without hesitation, the world has no choice but to make way for you. The greatest lie you've ever been told is that you have time. You don't. Time is a predator stalking you every second, devouring your chances, your dreams, your potential, while you sit there pretending tomorrow is guaranteed. It's not. The man who hesitates is already dead. He just hasn't realized it yet. Every day you waste is a day the man you could have been slipped further away, and one day you're gonna wake up, look in the mirror, and realize you lost a war you didn't even bother fighting. Fear doesn't come from the unknown. It comes from knowing deep inside that you were built for more and doing nothing about it. Every second you delay, you are choosing comfort over greatness, safety over evolution, death over life. People talk about fear like it's some enemy. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is your compass. If it scares you, it's the path you must walk. Fear exposes where your true potential lies, but weak men run from it because confronting fear demands sacrifice, and sacrifice demands you leave the old version of yourself behind. The coward seeks safety and distraction. The winner uses fear as fuel. When I felt fear, I didn't retreat. I sharpened my weapon. I built my mind like a fortress so that no storm could tear it down. You must learn to stand in front of fear like a soldier facing the battlefield, understanding that fear is not there to stop you. It's there to show you that you're still alive, that you still have something worth fighting for. Urgency is a language most men refuse to speak until it's too late. They live like life is some endless rehearsal, like there's a second act where they can finally become serious. There are no reruns. There is no second act. You either seize the moment or you are seized by regret. I've seen men with all the talent in the world rot because they moved like they had forever. They didn't understand that life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Love doesn't tap you on the shoulder and politely ask if now would be a good time to chase your dreams. Life moves forward whether you participate or not, and every second you stall, you are handing your destiny over to someone who's willing to move without hesitation. There's a graveyard out there full of men who thought they had time. Dreams buried 6 feet under because someone was too scared to start, too lazy to persist, too blind to see that the clock was always ticking. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. If you think you're safe because you're comfortable, you're already in danger. Comfort is the slowest form of suicide. It lulls you to sleep while your potential withers away. Every day you wake up without hunger in your chest, without urgency in your veins, you are voluntarily killing the man you were supposed to become. You don't get to negotiate with time. You don't get to explain yourself at the end. You either build or you decay. That's the only choice there ever was. The world is moving while you hesitate. Opportunities are passing by while you scroll through nonsense, while you drown in distractions that rot your mind and steal your focus. Your competition is not waiting for you to feel motivated. They're building empires while you make excuses. Every second you waste is a second they are using. Every weakness you entertain is an advantage you are handing over to someone else. You think you're standing still, but you're actually falling behind. The world doesn't pause because you're confused. It doesn't slow down because you're scared. It punishes the weak and rewards the relentless. And the only thing that determines where you end up is whether you move with brutal urgency or stay paralyzed by excuses. One day you're gonna wish you started sooner. One day you're going to look around and realize you are surrounded by men who dared to move while you waited for permission. There's no shame in starting small. There's only shame in not starting at all. The fear you feel right now is not a reason to stop. It's the proof you're still breathing, still alive, still capable of change. But that window will close. Time will harden around you like concrete, and when it does, there will be no escaping the prison you built with your own hesitation. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to move. You just have to fight. You just have to refuse to surrender to the coward inside who whispers lies of comfort and tomorrow. General dreams are dying while you hesitate. Your future is bleeding out while you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no later. There is no someday. There is only now. And right now, you have the chance to tear apart every limitation, to shatter every excuse, to step into the savage version of yourself that fear has been trying to hide from you. The future belongs to those who seize the present with violent hands. Stop waiting. Stop negotiating with your doubts. Burn the ships. Kill the weak voice inside. And storm forward like there's a gun to your head, because there is. It's called time. You are either building a legacy or digging a grave. Every action you take is a chisel, carving your future into stone. Every decision you make is a brick, either building a throne or a tomb. You are not powerless. You are not a victim. You are the architect of your destiny, but only if you move like your life depends on it, because it does. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you greatness. And with my dad, it must be ripped from the jaws of fear, wrestled from the grip of laziness, and claimed through a relentless, brutal assault on every excuse, every weakness, every lie you've ever told yourself. Now is the time to rise. Now is the time to unleash the monster within. Now is the time to move with urgency, to act with violence, to chase your potential with a savage hunger that cannot be reasoned with. Because if you don't, the only thing waiting for you is regret, and regret is a prison that no amount of money, no amount of tears, no amount of begging will ever set you free from. There is no greater hell than the life of the man who could have been something and chose to be nothing. Most people will never know what it feels like to be truly alive because they spend their lives avoiding discomfort, running from hardship, pretending that mediocrity is acceptable. They have no idea what it means to wake up every morning with fire in their veins, a war cry in their soul, and a purpose that drags them out of bed long before the world even stirs. Comfort is the enemy of greatness, and the man who seeks ease will find himself buried under the weight of regret. You were not put here to live soft. You were not born to exist quietly, fading away unnoticed. You were built for war, for conquest, for the relentless pursuit of a life so extraordinary that it shakes the very foundations of reality. Every day you choose to be less than you are capable of being. You betray the gift of life itself. There's a version of you that doesn't flinch at fear, that doesn't fold under pressure, that doesn't make excuses when the weight gets heavy. That version of you already exists. It's not a fantasy, it's a decision away, but you will never meet that version if you keep letting weakness win. The battle is fought every morning when you open your eyes. Do you rise up and attack the day like your life depends on it, or do you lie there drowning in excuses, pretending that the universe owes you another chance? No one is coming to wake you up. No one is coming to push you forward. It's you versus you. And every second you hesitate, the weaker version of yourself gains ground. You are either killing the coward inside you, or you are feeding him. Your dreams are not out of reach, your work ethic is. Your goals are not impossible, your discipline is. Your life is not limited, your ambition is asleep at the wheel. The future you want isn't waiting somewhere in the distance. It's hidden in the sacrifices you refuse to make today. If you aren't willing to bleed for what you want, you don't deserve it. If you aren't willing to suffer through the doubt, the failure, the loneliness, then don't dare speak of greatness, because greatness is reserved for the few who are willing to endure what the many refuse to even face. You have the power to become unstoppable, but only if you are willing to set yourself on fire with relentless drive and burn every excuse to ashes. The world isn't designed to make you strong, it's designed to break you, to distract you, to make you forget that inside your chest beats the heart of a warrior. Every ad you see, every lie you're fed, every fake dopamine hit is engineered to keep you weak, dependent, sedated. The system doesn't want you powerful, it wants you pacified. You are surrounded by traps. And every time you indulge in laziness, every time you escape into comfort, you are stepping willingly into the cage. Wake up, rage against it, refuse to let your mind rot in the prison of mediocrity. Every action you take must be a rebellion against weakness. Every step you move must be an act of war against the life that society tries to lull you into accepting. You were built for the storm. You were designed to endure hardship, to rise under pressure, to sharpen yourself against the grindstone of reality. Pain isn't your enemy, it's your proving ground. Suffering is the tuition you pay for greatness. When life punches you in the mouth, you don't cry, you don't fold, you don't beg for mercy. You smile through the blood, you spit out the excuses, and you keep fighting because you understand that diamonds are only formed under pressure and legends are only born through fire. Every hardship you endure is a hammer blow forging you into something unbreakable. Every failure you survive is a lesson sharpening your edge. Your body is your weapon. Your mind is your fortress. Your spirit is your shield. And every single day you must sharpen them, strengthen them, reinforce them. If you're not training, you're decaying. If you're not growing, you're dying. There is no neutral in life, only forward or backward. When you skip the workout, when you waste another hour, when you indulge another weakness, you are actively choosing to become weaker, softer, smaller. Meanwhile, the version of you who refused to skip, who refused to waste, who refused to soften, is out there waiting, more powerful than you can even imagine. And every day you delay is a day you drift further away from him. Most men will die without ever knowing what they could have been because they let weakness whisper them into a life of quiet desperation. They accept jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, routines that numb them because it's easier to exist than to fight. Existing is not living. If you are not chasing something that terrifies you, that demands everything from you, then you are wasting your pulse. You are squandering the breath in your lungs. You were not born to tiptoe safely to death. You were born to storm through life like a hurricane, leaving a legacy so powerful that generations from now, your name still echoes with reverence. Because there's a brutal, beautiful truth about life. Nobody cares how you feel. The universe doesn't adjust itself to accommodate your emotions. It doesn't shrink itself because you're tired or expand itself because you're motivated. The universe rewards action, not intention. You either win or you don't. You either rise or you fall. Feelings are irrelevant. Action is everything. When you don't feel like training, that's when you train the hardest. When you don't feel like working, that's when you grind the deepest. Discipline is doing what must be done, even when you are at your weakest, especially when you are at your weakest. And if you want to know the difference in winners and losers is this: losers wait to feel like it. Winners act regardless. Winners move through fear. Winners move through doubt. Winners move through fatigue. They refuse to give excuses a place to live inside their minds. They kill weakness before it has the chance to breathe. The cost of greatness is everything comfortable, everything easy, everything soft inside you. And the reward? Immortality, legacy, a life that means something. You have inside you all the tools you need. You just have to stop looking for the easy way. There is no shortcut. There is no magic formula. There is only the relentless, savage pursuit of better every single day, whether you feel like it or not. There's no finish line. There's only the next battle, the next climb, the next level. And the truth is, the journey itself is the reward. The suffering you endure transforms you. The struggle you face elevates you. The war you fight within yourself makes you unstoppable. Now is the time to kill weakness. Now is the time to rise. Now is the time to embrace the grind with open arms, to love the pain, to crave the challenge, because every day you fight, every battle you win, every weakness you destroy brings you closer to the invincible version of yourself that the world cannot break, cannot silence, and will never forget. This is it. This is your life. No more second chances. No more pretending you have time. Every breath you take is a blessing and a countdown. Every tick of the clock is a reminder that the opportunity to become something legendary is slipping through your fingers while you waste your hours hesitating. You don't have tomorrow. You only ever have right now. Right now is when you choose who you are going to become. Right now is when you either build the life you dream about or watch it rot into a pile of wasted potential because you were too weak to move. You owe it to yourself to get up. You owe it to yourself to fight for something bigger than your excuses. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody's handing you the life you want. Nobody cares about your sob stories, your failures, your wasted years, and they shouldn't, because the world isn't obligated to give you anything. You were given life. That's the only lottery ticket you'll ever get. What you do with it is entirely up to you. Life is brutal, but it's fair. It gives to the ones you take. And if you're not ready to take what you want with your bare hands, if you're not willing to earn it with your sweat, your blood, your sleepless nights, then be prepared to watch someone else live the life you were too soft to fight for. You need to wake up every single day like you are at war, because you are. War against your own weakness, war against your distractions, war against the part of you that wants to quit. You need to move with urgency, with aggression, with ferocity. Success isn't found by the man who moves slowly and carefully. It's seized by the man who sprints toward it with reckless courage. Every second you hesitate, someone else is outworking you. Someone else is staying sharper, hungrier, harder. And when you meet them in the battlefield of life, they will crush you without hesitation because they were ready and you weren't. It's not about feeling motivated. It's about committing so deeply to your mission that quitting is not even a whisper in your mind. When it hurts, you push harder. You're undisciplined. That's the truth no one wants to admit. You keep lying to yourself, calling it burnout, calling it stress, pretending it's your circumstances, but deep down you know it's weakness. You know you've got the energy to scroll endlessly, binge shows, fantasize about success, but when it's time to build, to move, to rise, suddenly you're empty. Why? Because you're chasing motivation like a drug addict chasing his next high. And when it doesn't show up, you fold, you quit, you disappear. But let me tell you something brutal. Winners don't wait to feel like it. They move through the mud, through the darkness, through the doubt. I don't believe in motivation, I believe in discipline. I am a disciplined person. That's the difference. That's what separates the men from the boys, the lions from the sheep. You keep praying for drive, but what you really need is discipline, because when everything in you says no, discipline screams yes and drags you forward. That's how greatness is built, not by feeling good, but by doing what must be done when it feels impossible. The temporary satisfaction of quitting is outweighed by the eternal suffering of being a nobody. And trust me, being a nobody isn't painful in the moment. It's a slow rot, a quiet death, a life where your dreams bury you in regret. Discipline is the foundation of freedom. And if you don't have it, you're a slave to your mood, your emotions, your laziness. You either rise now or you stay down forever. Because the truth is this, you will never be anything until you're willing to work when you don't feel like it. No one's coming to save you. No one's gonna hand it to you. Success is the result of discipline, dedication, and sacrifice. People who train every day do not want to train every day. They're not fueled by emotion. They're forged by decision. So ask yourself, are you willing to suffer for your name, or will you let another day pass while the life you want laps in your face? Decide right now, because every second you wait, another man out there is sharpening his sword while you're still staring at the handle. Most of you will never make it, and not because you're dumb, not because you're poor, not because the system is rigged. Those are the lies you whisper to yourself so you can sleep at night. The truth is colder. The truth is you're addicted to motivation, like a junkie. You sit and wait for a feeling to strike, some magical lightning bolt of energy to hit your spine and drag you into greatness. But greatness doesn't work like that. The universe does not reward the man who waits, it rewards the man who builds. The man who shows up on Monday morning at war with his own comfort. The man who gets up at 5 a.m. not because he wants to, but because he has to, because he's chosen a mission bigger than himself. And this is what you fail to understand. Discipline is the path to freedom, and motivation is the path to slavery. Do what you feel is the mantra of the broke, the weak, the forgotten. Do what must be done. That's the law of kings. You think winners feel like showing up every day? You think the strongest minds on earth feel inspired 24/7? Of course not. Some days the body hurts, the mind is foggy, the world feels like it's crushing down on your chest. But the disciplined man moves anyway. He moves through pain, through boredom, through doubt, because his goals are not negotiable. He doesn't need to be motivated because his life is engineered around discipline. That's what makes him dangerous. That's what makes him unstoppable. While you're scrolling through your phone looking for the next pump-up video, the disciplined man is building his empire, brick by brick, hour by hour, in silence, with no applause. And that's why he wins. You want to be a lion, but you've got the habits of a sheep. You want to be free, but you refuse the chains of routine? You got it backwards. Discipline is not your enemy, it's your liberation. The truth is, every great man you admire, every athlete, every warrior, every titan of business or battle, got there not through bursts of energy, but through relentless repetition, through doing the things they hated on the days they felt nothing. Discipline is doing what you hate like you love it. That's what separates men who merely dream from men who manifest. Stop searching for motivation. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. The stars won't align, the angels won't sing. No one is coming to save you. You have to become the hero. You have to put on the armor of discipline and walk into the fire. Not once, not twice, every day. Because the moment you rely on feeling, you give up control. But the moment you surrender to discipline, you become the architect of your reality. And that's when the universe starts to bend in your favor. Not before. Not ever before. I had days where I felt dead inside, days where I had nothing left in the tank, but I still trained, I still worked, I still kept moving forward, because that's what warriors do. You don't earn your stripes when you feel good. You earn them when every cell in your body wants to quit, and you don't let it. That's where self-respect comes from. That's how you build a man who can't be broken. And don't confuse this with self-punishment. This isn't about masochism. This is about alignment. Because when you live with discipline, when you conquer yourself day in and day out, you begin to move in rhythm with something far greater than your ego. You begin to align with divine order, with purpose, with legacy. And that's when life starts opening doors you didn't even know existed. So burn the idea that motivation is your answer. It's not. Motivation is emotional, and emotions are fragile. They crack under pressure. But discipline is your sword and your shield. It cuts through laziness and it protects you from your own worst instincts. It's your armor in a world that's constantly trying to make you soft. Every time you ignore the alarm clock, every time you skip a session, every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow, you are sacrificing your crown for comfort. And the worst part is you know it. You feel it deep in your gut, that shame, that disappointment, that voice whispering you're better than this. And you are. But you'll never see that better version of yourself until you kill the part of you that keeps waiting for motivation to save you. Because it never will. Only discipline can. And when you finally grasp that truth, not just in your head, but in your soul, that's when you become dangerous. That's when the world starts to feel your presence. That's when your life changes forever. There was a time in my life where everything felt meaningless. I had money, sure. I had the cars, the women, the watches, the status. But something in me was hollow. And it wasn't the kind of emptiness you fix with a vacation or a new pair of shoes. It was deeper, spiritual. A silent war raging inside me every morning I opened my eyes. I didn't know it at first, but I had become addicted to the feeling of success instead of the system that creates it. I was chasing that high, the applause, the dopamine, the external validation. And the moment those feelings didn't show up, I slowed down. I coasted. And that's when it hit me like a sledgehammer. I had started living like a mortal, like a man who needed to feel good to do good. And that's how empires crumble, not in explosions, in slow decay, in missed workouts, in skipped routines, in subtle compromises that rot your discipline from the inside out. I remember one specific morning, cold, dark, and brutal. I woke up in Romania, and the air was so freezing I could see my breath in the room. I hadn't slept more than 2 hours. My body was sore from training, my mind fogged from non-stop work, and in that moment, motivation was dead, gone, not even a whisper. I didn't feel like doing anything. Every cell in my body screamed for comfort, to stay under the covers, skip training, cancel meetings, and you know what I did? I got up, I put my boots on, I stepped into the cold and trained like it was my last day on earth. Not because I was motivated, but because I was disciplined. Because I understood something most men never learn. When your feelings betray you, your discipline becomes your only ally. That single day, that small decision created a ripple effect. Because discipline is compound interest for the soul. Every rep you push through, every action you take when you're tired, every time you honor your word in silence, it all stacks. It sharpens your spirit until it becomes a weapon. You see, people romanticize motivation because it's easy, it's sexy. It feels good to be pumped up by music and flashy edits. But real life isn't a montage. Real life is waking up after failure, facing the world when no one believes in you, grinding in silence while others laugh. Discipline is the act of choosing purpose over pleasure every single day. That's how you rise. That's how you become a force. You want to know what changed my life? It wasn't one big event. It wasn't winning a fight or going viral or making $1 million. It was dragging myself out of bed every day for years, doing what needed to be done, whether I felt like it or not. That's the secret. That's the formula no one wants to hear because it's not sexy. Discipline is the foundation that makes miracles look effortless. People see the result and call it talent. They never see the war behind it, the nights you cried alone, the mornings your soul wanted to give up, the sacrifices no one claps for. I had a friend once, strong guy, talented, brilliant mind. He had more natural ability than I did, but he was a slave to his moods. If he felt good, he'd dominate. If he didn't, he'd disappear. And eventually life broke him, not because he was weak, but because he had no anchor. He had no discipline. He was like a kite in a storm, tossed by every emotional gust. I loved him, but I couldn't save him. No one could, because no one can build your discipline for you. No one can fight your inner battles. That's between you and the mirror, between you and God. And that's why I keep saying, motivation is not the answer. It's a lie you've been sold. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire. You want to live with power? You build it, you earn it. You forge it in silence when no one is watching, and especially when you don't feel like it. There were nights where I'd stare at the ceiling and wonder if any of it mattered, if the grind, the pain, the isolation had a point. And in those moments, I discovered something most men never will. That discipline is divine. It connects you to something greater than flesh and blood. When you master discipline, you no longer live as a slave to the physical. You rise into alignment with the spiritual. That's when you become more than just a man. You become a vessel for purpose. Every step you take in discipline is a rebellion against the chaos that wants to consume you. Every time you say yes to action when your body begs for rest, you reclaim your soul from the modern world's distractions. And here's the part no one tells you. Once you embrace discipline fully, life stops being heavy. It becomes focused, sharp, clear. You stop needing to be hyped up. You stop waiting for inspiration. You stop being a slave to your moods. You simply do. You execute. And in that execution, you find freedom. You become addicted to progress, not pleasure. You find fulfillment in consistency, not chaos. That's the true shift. That's when everything begins to change. Not because life got easier, but because you got harder. You became forged in fire, unshakable. A man no longer ruled by feelings, but by purpose. And that's when your legacy begins. Not when you post about it, not when people applaud, but when you live it quietly, day in and day out, through the unwavering force of discipline. Every day you waste waiting for motivation is a day you'll never get back. People talk about time like it's infinite, like they've got decades to figure it all out. But you don't. You're not promised another week, another year, another moment. And while you scroll, waiting for that perfect wave of inspiration to crash over you and make life easy, someone else is waking up in the dark and putting in the reps, building himself into a weapon. Discipline is doing it when it's boring, when it hurts, when it feels empty, because you know who you're becoming is worth the pain. That's the difference between men who rise and men who rot. The ones who succeed don't wait to feel like it. They execute repeatedly, ruthlessly. And if you don't adopt that same mindset, you'll be left behind, soft, weak, filled with regret. What no one tells you is how expensive laziness is. Not in money, though that too, but in dignity, in lost potential, in the haunting awareness that you were capable of being great, but you chose comfort. That's the cost. That's the price of relying on motivation. Because motivation is a visitor. It shows up when it pleases and disappears when you need it most. You don't get to negotiate with your dreams. You show up or you get nothing. That's the deal. And the clock is ticking whether you move or not. Men lie to themselves with fantasies. They tell themselves they'll start tomorrow. They convince themselves that once they feel better, once things are more stable, they'll begin. But the truth is brutal. You are dying every second you hesitate. Life is passing you by while you search for the perfect mood. You think you'll get another shot. You think the world is waiting for you to finally get serious. It's not. There are men out there who are hungrier, colder, more focused, and they're coming for everything you say you want. The gym isn't just about muscles. The work isn't just about money. This is a spiritual war. Every day you avoid discipline, you're surrendering to weakness. You're saying, my feelings are more important than my destiny. And that mindset, it's fatal. Weakness doesn't hit you like a truck. It seeps in slowly, disguising itself as rest, comfort, peace. And by the time you realize it's killing you, it's already taken most of your fire. That's why you must move now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, even when it's quiet, especially when it's quiet. Fear is a tool if you use it correctly. You should be terrified, not of hard work, not of suffering, but of becoming average. You should be afraid of living a life that looks nothing like your potential. You should fear the mirror turning into your enemy. A man with discipline is dangerous because nothing owns him, not his mood, not his past, not his weakness. That's what you need to become. Not another soft soul floating from high to high, but a force so locked into purpose that even your bad days produce results. Because in the real world, the man who executes while uninspired wins. Every time. While you're searching for a feeling, he's already 10 steps ahead, bleeding, sweating, building. And don't get it twisted, discipline isn't just grit. It's not cold, heartless repetition. It's divine, it's cosmic, it's spiritual alignment. When you live with discipline, you silence chaos. You find peace. You stop being dragged by the current of life and start walking on water. Discipline is the only way to win the battle between your lower self and your higher self. You think the gym is just physical? It's not. It's a battleground where the soul learns to rise. You think waking up early is about productivity? No. It's a sacred act of war against your inner coward. You don't train to look good. You train to honor your future. You work not for applause, but for redemption. For every lazy version of yourself you've ever tolerated. And yes, this journey will cost you. It will demand more than you think you have. It will require you to bleed, to suffer, to be uncomfortable. But the alternative, that's worse. The alternative is a slow death with a smile on your face. The alternative is waking up at 40 with soft hands, a soft body, and a broken spirit, wondering where the time went. That's what's at stake. Motivation might get you started once, but only discipline will take you to the end. So when the pain hits, lean in. When doubt creeps in, smirk. When the fire dies, reignite it. Because you're not here to feel good. You're here to build a life worth waking up for. You want to know why discipline matters more than motivation? Because motivation is emotional, and emotions lie. Motivation tells you to rest when you should rise. It whispers comfort when you need challenge. Discipline is truth. It never changes. It says do the work, whether you're tired, whether you're sad, whether you're lost, do the work. Discipline is the only voice in your life that doesn't care about excuses. It only responds to action. That's why it's the most powerful force in your arsenal. That's why it's the path to greatness. And that's why the man who masters it becomes untouchable. Not just physically, but spiritually. He becomes a storm. He becomes legend. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more inspiration. You need to shut up and execute. Stop talking, stop planning, stop fantasizing. Just do the work. Every time you sit and wait for the mood to strike, you lose ground to a version of yourself that could have existed. Motivation is a liar. It shows up when it wants and vanishes when you need it most. Discipline stays when everything else runs. That's why the strong rise. That's why the few dominate, because they've stopped making their actions dependent on their emotions. Most men are slaves, not to a system, not to a government, to themselves. Enslaved by laziness, owned by distraction, chained to their need to feel ready. You are not supposed to be ready, you are supposed to act. Greatness is built in moments of silence, when no one's watching, when it's just you and the grind, and your only reward is progress. That's where the future kings are born, not in excitement, not in passion, but in discipline, in consistency, in pain that is embraced, not avoided. You want strength? Earn it. You want respect? Build it. You want success? Suffer for it. Nothing you want will ever be handed to you because you feel like it. That's not how the universe works. The world doesn't reward the emotional, it rewards the consistent. Your feelings are irrelevant, your excuses mean nothing. You either execute or you rot in regret. That's the cold truth. And yet, it's the most liberating truth once you accept it. Because once you stop waiting for the stars to align, you realize you are the one who controls the sky. This game is about dominance over self. You want to win? Control your urges, silence your doubts, move with force. Even when your soul screams for ease. A man with discipline becomes inevitable. He doesn't peak once, he peaks every single day. That's the kind of power no motivation can match, because motivation is emotion, and emotions waver. But purpose carved in discipline. That's eternal, that's legacy. That's the kind of energy that bends the world around you, not the other way around. Don't confuse the struggle with failure. The struggle is the path. You are never supposed to coast. The pain is the payment. Every drop of sweat, every early morning, every rep done in silence, it's spiritual currency. Not just training your body, you're sharpening your soul. Discipline is the connection between your present suffering and your future salvation. That's why the weak quit. That's why the undisciplined fade. Because they think pain is punishment, but the disciplined know pain is prophecy. The pressure isn't a burden, it's a calling. It's shaping you for something greater than comfort could ever provide. You're not lost. You're not broken. You're just soft. And softness is cured in discipline. You want clarity? You want focus? Then start doing hard things. Get up early, train when you're tired, build when you're bored, speak the truth when it's easier to lie. That's where a power is forged. That's where a man becomes unstoppable. Discipline doesn't give you shortcuts. It makes you so sharp you cut through the nonsense. And when you got that kind of edge, you don't need external hype. You are the hype. You become the fire everyone else tries to borrow. And don't you dare look at your past as proof you can't evolve. Your past is not a prison unless you let it be. You failed before? Good. You quit before? Fine. It's done. Burn it. What matters now is what you do today, right now, in this breath. Discipline is redemption through action. You don't need apologies. You need effort. You don't need therapy for your laziness. You need pressure. You need structure. You need to build yourself into something so undeniable that not even your past self could recognize you. That's how deep this has to go. You're not here to live a life of comfort. You're not here to coast through your 20s or rot in your 30s. You're here to rise, to push until your lungs burn, to fight through exhaustion, to find meaning in monotony, to put in work when no one claps and keep going when no one sees. Because that's the only way to earn power that lasts. Motivation may start the fire, but only discipline keeps it burning when the wind hits. And believe me, the wind will hit. Life will test you. It'll knock on your door dressed as failure, heartbreak, loss, fatigue. And when it does, the question won't be how inspired you feel. It'll be whether you still move, still grind, still rise. That's where winners are born. So stand up, breathe deep, and remember who you were meant to be. Stop waiting to feel good. Start acting like a man possessed, not with rage, but with purpose. Not with desperation, but with divine fire. Because your discipline isn't just about results, it's about your identity. It's about who you become when no one's watching. Discipline is the language of warriors, the heartbeat of champions, the rhythm of immortals. If you want a life most will never have, you have to do what most will never do. And that begins with a simple, brutal truth. Discipline over motivation every single time. There comes a point when you stop listening and you start doing. Not because you're hyped, not because the music's loud, not because the lights are bright, but because you're tired of being the weak version of yourself. If you've made it this far, then something in your soul is begging to be awakened. Not your feelings, your essence, your masculine force. Discipline is when your soul takes control of your flesh and says, move. No permission, no hesitation. Just war with the version of you that settles. This is the line in the sand, right now. Not tomorrow, not when things calm down, not when life gets easier. There will never be a perfect moment. That's the trick your mind plays on you to keep you comfortable in chaos. The truth is, the hard road is the only road. Your future isn't waiting for motivation, it's waiting for you to suffer with purpose. The longer you wait, the colder your fire gets. And let me tell you, once that fire dies, you're not living anymore, you're just existing, drifting, consumed by the same cycle of guilt, shame, and excuses. You've heard enough. You've learned enough. You've dreamed enough. Now it's time to build. Build with no applause. Build when your hands shake. Build when your legs ache. Discipline is action in the face of doubt. Movement in the face of fear. Consistency in the face of chaos. And the moment you decide that your feelings no longer run your life, you become untouchable. Because discipline makes you a force of nature. Motivation is lightning. It strikes, it's beautiful, and then it's gone. But discipline is the sun. It rises every day, no matter what. And it brings life to everything it touches. Think about it. How many days have you wasted waiting for the right mindset? How many hours have you let slip because the vibe wasn't right, the energy wasn't aligned, the moment didn't feel magical? Enough! That mindset is spiritual suicide. You kill your potential every time you wait to feel ready. You are not meant to live a life dictated by feelings. You are built to rise above them and bend reality with consistent effort. That's not just discipline, that's divine masculinity in motion. That's what separates the warriors from the watchers. Your mission is simple, but it's not easy. Destroy the part of you that hesitates. Destroy the weak voice that says, not today. You don't need a new year. You don't need a Monday. You need now. You need to get up, lock in, and refuse to stop. If your body aches, go anyway. If your mind protests, ignore it. If your environment is noisy, create silence within yourself. That's where power lives, not in comfort, but in confrontation. Discipline is the quiet promise you keep with yourself when no one's watching, when no one believes, when everything in you screams to quit. You want a better life, then live like it. Don't talk about dreams, outwork them. Don't post about hustle, be it. Don't preach about growth, bleed for it. The world is filled with people who speak like lions and move like lambs. Don't be that. Be the storm. Be the consistency. Be the man who shows up without fanfare and leaves results in his wake. And when the world asks how you did it, the answer won't be hype or fate or luck. It'll be one word: discipline. And for the ones who think discipline is cold, robotic, lifeless, they don't understand it. Discipline is not the absence of soul, it's the full expression of it. It's what allows your higher self to shine through the noise. It gives structure to chaos, direction to dreams, and power to potential. It's the spiritual armor that protects your mission from distraction and self-sabotage. And once you taste the clarity it brings, motivation will feel like a sugar high compared to the purity of purpose. This isn't just about success, it's about alignment, about walking in truth, about earning peace through pressure. Every rep you do in the gym, every hour you spend on your craft, every minute you fight off laziness. It's a prayer to the universe that says, I will not be average. It's you proving without speaking that you're here to conquer, not coast. That you're a weapon, sharpened daily. Discipline is a spiritual path disguised as repetition, the divine force hiding in daily grind. And those who master it unlock freedom most never take. So what now? Are you going to close this and scroll back into mediocrity? Or are you going to stand up and declare war on weakness? The clock doesn't care. Life doesn't care. God gave you breath today. Use it like it matters. Your discipline is the altar where your old self dies and your higher self is resurrected. Don't miss the chance. Don't waste the pain. One disciplined day is worth more than 1,000 motivated ones. Let that echo in your mind every morning. Let it push you when you're tired. Let it haunt you when you want to quit. This is the path. Not of the many, but of the chosen. And if you're hearing this, then deep down, you were never meant to be average. You were meant to master yourself. And that mastery begins now with the truth carved in stone, discipline over motivation. Every single time